GM, Casey.
GM. How's it going today?
Welcome back to our home.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome back to our home. Last week we were live in Singapore. Now we're back in our homes, separate, but we're back.
Yeah.
We're back, and it's going to be a great episode today, I think.
Yeah, we have a lot of guests.
We have a lot of guests today.
Yeah.
But first of all, Karen, happy International NFT Day.
Happy International NFT Day. What does that?
Something you didn't even know about until I told you before we started the show.
Yes.
So around the world today, actually, depending on where you are, but today's the 20th in North America still. So it is NFT Day. And why is it NFT Day today? It's because today was the day that the ERC 721 was published by the Dapper Labs, who are the originators of the CryptoKitties. And so they claim today as the NFT day. I don't know if that's contested, but a lot of people are celebrating it, and it's okay. Let's give a day. Let's count a day as the official day for NFTs to have started. And around the world, if you go to internationalNFTday.org, you can see if there's an event in your city. There's a lot of them there's a few of them in Europe. There's a bunch of them in India. A few of them in North America, and in Asia. There's one in Shanghai, and there's one in Manila. That's about it. So very interesting. There's some in the metaverse as well. So there's different places to celebrate today. I don't know if how many people are celebrating since a lot of NFTs are down right now, but I think that I don't think it really matters, right? As we saw last week in Singapore, that people are still bullish on everything to do with Web3 and NFTs and things like that. So I think it's
in Asia.
Very positive. Yeah. And today's guest, we're going to dive deeper and deeper into that. And what they saw in what's happening here in Asia. So let's see, what's our next agenda here? I wanted to bring Ray on, but he's not here yet. So let's talk a little bit quickly about what you thought about last week in Singapore. It was the Token 2049 event, but you and I did tons of events last week. It was a whole week of conferencing, paneling, networking, parties, all this kind of stuff last week. I know you're back in Hong Kong. You don't look like you got sick, so that's good. But briefly, like, what did you think? Is this your first like major Web3 event outside of Hong Kong?
Yeah, major week of events. And I think it's great to see everybody in real life, like people that you've probably know each other like on Twitter. But like now you can see them in real life. So that's pretty magical, I think. And we saw our holders, and like some holders even brought their mom to an event. And I was really impressed. I was like meeting all kinds of people. So that's good.
Yeah, I think that because in the world of undoxed people and everyone living behind a PFP, it's really amazing to see people for the first time and seeing what kind of people they are, how they're into it, how they watch. Some of the GM show watchers were there and listened and told us what they thought of the show, which was very positive for us. But I think for me personally, and I tweeted this out, was that a lot of the guests, our past guests from North America, were actually in person in Singapore, which was incredible to me. As well as future guests that we also connected with that we're going to bring on the show in the future. But seeing Luca there on stage, seeing Frank doing the show with Frank live last time was amazing. And Kevin, those guys are awesome. I think a lot of people really enjoyed the last episode because, we'll go into that. But there's something dynamic about doing these streams live with your guests and having we had a small audience. And it was great to hear their energy and, their applaud and laughter when the jokes come out, right? Because it's just kind of like, it's just us talking to microphones and seeing the comments on Twitter and YouTube at the same time. That's all we kind of get out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I wanted to, and I think we have to talk about this before we bring on our guest because it's just something that was just so funny. It just happened naturally. It wasn't even a thing.
Yeah,
last week we did our show live, as a lot of people know. And we recorded it with Frank and Kevin from The Gods, and they and Ray was there as well. And this is like a studio setting that we did it in. So we wanted to do Tonight Show style, right? Which I thought looked great and sounded great. I did wash my shirt. I'm wearing the same clothes as in this photo from last week, but I did wash everything. It's just very comfortable, so I put it back on. I really love this Ivy Boys t-shirt I got. But for some reason, Ray picked up a pillow that was on the sofa and wouldn't let it go. He held on to it for the entire show. It's
And that
bizarre.
became a meme.
It became a meme. It became a meme that's so fast that people cut him out of the scene. Also commenting on his socks too. That was another thing. And
Wait,
then the pillow.
Ray is here. I want to put him on.
Okay. Maybe we ask him why did he like the pillow so much? I mean, he gave us a reaction to it. Okay,
Hey,
well,
Ray.
let's not talk about this. If he's here, we want to talk to him about Singapore before we get into this stuff. So let's just hide this for now and go back to it in a bit. Ray, GM.
GM.
How are you holding up now? Are you sick? Are you back to normal? What's up now that you're Hong Kong again?
Not sick. Yeah, I think I'm just happy to be home.
Yeah.
I think one thing that determines whether you are an introvert or an extrovert is whether when you go out to meet people, you feel that you are charged or you are drained, right? I'm definitely feeling drained. Yeah, it's not like I don't like to meet them.
Yeah.
It's just like it seems like I have to spend a lot of energy, to maintain a normal day to engage with them. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is your probably first time at a big NFT Web3 conference. Definitely for me in Singapore. I've been to Singapore before, but I've never seen this here. I've been to a lot of them in the States, so I can kind of kind of compare them. But what was your overall feeling of last week? You got in early in the week and you just got back to Hong Kong. You had tons of meetings, you did lots of panels, you did a lot of parties. Like, what is your overall vibe from what you saw last week?
I think if you just check Twitter every day, it feels like there's no future. It feels like NFT is dead, Web3 is dead, crypto is dead, blockchain is a scam. It sounds like that if you check out Twitter or Discord, right? But if you go there, meet people in person, right? You've met a lot of we've met a lot of builders, we've met a lot of very enthusiastic holders, right? We also meet a lot of new companies, old companies. They try to start something in Web3, right? I think it honestly, right? As much as I hate to go to real life events, I think it's actually very refreshing, right? And it gives me hope, right? Because I think at the end of the day, after starting Meme Land about almost 2 years ago, right? It just feels like we are kind of getting into kind of like a bottleneck in a way, right? On one hand, we're waiting for to launch meme coin, right? On the other hand, we still need to move the project forward, right? We still need to talk to partners, right? I think going to a real life events, actually, it makes it easier for us to meet all the people that we want to meet.
Yeah.
Right? For example, I didn't really make that many appointments with our existing investors, right? But I met Kelvin from Spartan there. I met almost 80% of our investors are at MemeCoin there, right? And they always ask me, "Hey Ray, is there anything that you need our help?" Right? It's not like, okay, when do you launch MemeCoin? Right? I think you feel like, okay, this is very refreshing in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we don't need to launch it. I'm just saying that people focus on the right thing more, right, when you meet them in person. And I really, really believe that, I mean, on one hand, if you are still willing to go out, you are still relatively normal, right? It's not like, okay, you don't have a life, right? You actually want to meet other builders in the space. I think that's actually a good way, right, to kind of remind us why we start in Web3. It's not just about money, right? It's about, okay, how can we apply this awesome technology, right, into application, right, into the social media, into stuff that we know how to build. And they all share their interesting views, their interesting, I would say, projects that they are working on. I think all of these are very exciting.
Yeah. Great. I think that's the number one thing a lot of people are excited about, is to get that kind of energy again from meeting people in real life. I mean, I definitely felt recharged from looking at Twitter all the time, and I met a ton of people that said the same thing as well. So it's very, very good to hear that coming from you. Okay, so let's get back to the memes that were created from last week. I just started doing it, and I saw everybody got excited about it. So 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 after this happened, literally, I don't know, 10 minutes later, after we finished the show, these JPEGs got sent out, right? These GIF files or whatever, the pillow and of Ray in the specific pose, and
We've
they
got a
started
full
just going
on asset.
everywhere.
Yeah.
What's that?
We've got a full on asset pack to create memes with Ray.
It's just so crazy how fast it went. And because, you know, we do the show and then we're like, we're hanging out with Frank and Kevin, and then we're heading back to the show. And then all of a sudden, I look at Twitter and all these pictures just started showing up. And Ray, what do you think when you started seeing these?
I think you either die making memes, right, or live long enough to see yourself become the meme, right? I think you sent that to me after the show, right? I feel like this is true. I mean, let me explain it, right? I think the fun version is when I see Frank and Kevin D Gods, I got a boner. Yeah, that's how I want to hire. Right. That's the fun version. That's the on spot version. Why I say that? Right. What I say. Yeah, I think the real version is the cushion, the pillow, right, is at my back and kind of like make me uncomfortable. That's why I just want to hold it. Right. That's the only reason. Right.
Yeah.
I think on one hand it shows that okay, people are still having fun. Right. And I think number two is I mean I right now I have first-hand experience of being made into a meme, right? So when I talk to other like meme creators and
Yeah.
maybe people in the memes, right? Maybe I have something to share with them.
Yeah.
I always believe that whatever experience that we have in life, I think it's always valuable, right? Because whether it's bad, whether it's good, right, you can still use it as a talking point, right, to talk to people, right, to find share the experience with others, right? So I think this is an interesting experience for me.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to show a few of them that we found that I thought were funny, that we thought were funny, and then we're going to have a vote at the end. So you take a look at some of the ones we're going to look at the end. We're going to have the few of them that we think are the best, and then you're going to vote on them, the listener, the viewer here, and you're going to write down which one you like the best, and we're going to give a prize to the best one because they're just so funny. And I thought that also they're funny, but also there's a lot of creativity here. And also somebody, you know, you guys took a lot of time to make these, which I thought was great. So you saw it, you immediately thought, where can I put this? And the first one we saw was this one. First one I saw was this one. So I think it's a Ray's old headshot, and somebody photoshopped the pillow right into it. This is the first one I saw, and I was almost spit out my coffee when I saw this because I was like, holy crap. This isn't a day later. This is seriously like minutes after the show finished. So everyone's super fast on this. And I think the guy who created this is like in Europe. So it's like really early in the morning for him. So he actually made this. So it's kind of funny. And you're getting tagged in all these too, right? So you've got all these things popping up in your feed. This is my second favorite one I saw. Yes. This is one of my favorite memes of all time. I just put Ray in there next to Keanu. But that was great. This one also made me cry funny. So this is the Johnny Depp Neverland thing. I don't know how they got that picture of you crying, but that's some Photoshop going on.
I think it's on one of the GM show or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this one made me laugh so hard when I saw this. It's like, this one really took time. And then these two came out. I saw them at the same time. So the Ray Chan cosplay group. So it's like, you know, the black t-shirt, the black socks, the pillow, and the toilet, since you sometimes tweet from the toilet. So I think that's what that's from. And then another one had the prices for everything, which was great. Like the shirt, $20, the watch, $31, the pillow, $11, which is a lot more than that. The shorts, $18, the tennis shoes, $40, but the mindset, it's like $1 billion. Just amazing. And then some more of them came out. I thought it was funny. So now he just said, you're Ray, you're just sitting everywhere, right? You're sitting on that bus. You're sitting with the hangover guys. You're sitting on the. Have you seen all these? Did all these pop up? I mean, you must get tons of like.
I haven't seen the one. I haven't seen the one on the right here. The one in the New York construction site. Yeah. The famous photo. Yeah. That one is actually quite nice. It makes sense. Kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's working.
You put it on your Twitter banner.
Yep.
And then also just as fast, our very own Mammy Poco, he's able to draw this super fast piece of art with the captains on it. I thought that was beautiful as well. I don't know how fast he got this up in the next day, right? Super amazing. Okay, so I think these four are the funniest ones. So let's see what you think as well. I can't remember who actually posted these, but I'll find out. I remember I've saved them all in my Twitter, so I'll do it. But you gotta just say, what is your favorite one? Is it the Keanu one? That's A. The Ray Chan cosplay kit is B. The CEO of What Meme Land with Johnny Depp is C, and then the Hangover guys hanging out together is D. So you guys take a look at that and give a vote on Twitter or YouTube, and we'll give the one with the most votes a prize. But Ray, which one is your favorite of these four?
I like A. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Karen?
I think the is the context and also the concept, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one on one hand, Keanu is like the forever stars, right? I think in memes and stuff, I think that's number one. Number two is I think his personal story. Right? I think I resonate with him a lot. Right? I'm not saying that I have a personal story like him, but I think we all have our challenges, right? And also in this photo, I remember I read an interview about this from him. He said that he at that day he was just eating lunch, right? And people think that he's sad and stuff.
Yeah, right.
It's almost like the same context, right? I'm actually just thinking and stuff, right? And then people try to Photoshop it. It's almost like what we do is not exactly what people think, right? But people still have their own impression of you, and and it's almost like very similar in a way. Right? That's why I like this one the most. Yeah, and it's so simple, right? I like simple stuff. I'm simple-minded. Yeah.
Karen, which one do you think is the funniest one?
Keanu Reeves is definitely the best one. But I actually, now I look at it, I really like the New York skyscraper construction.
That one is also very good. Yeah,
that's a good one too. My favorite one definitely is C. When I saw that, I seriously like laughing so hard because look at this guy. I'll put your head in the first one. He's got the tears in the second one, and he's got actually had to Photoshop because I do Photoshop, and he's got you with Johnny Depp's arms around you. So that is just a lot of work, and I was like, wow, this is super amazing how fast these guys are. So thank you everybody who submitted stuff. There are more of them if you search for hashtag #MemeLandPillow. And Ahoy Memes, shout out to Ahoy Memes who started like a contest there because I said, hey, put them all together, and he was able to like make sure everyone had the cutout of Ray and the cutout of the pillow. So I thought that was funny. But thank you very much, everybody.
Great. So we have some special guests this week. And I want to invite him like right now. But Ray, maybe we'll chat with Matt later. So Ray, you can stay on. We can talk about it. So I want to invite our special guest this week, Ryan from Trekki.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Ryan. So if you don't know who Ryan's a serial entrepreneur and the founder of Trekki NFT project, and with over 8 years of experience leading innovation at Booking.com and Trip.com and founding 2 startups. So Ryan is a visionary thinker obsessed with connecting Web3 to the physical world and revolutionizing how people experience travel. So thank you so much for coming on, Ryan.
Thank you for having me, Karen.
Yeah. Why don't you start telling us the story how Trip.com ventured into Web3 and how you started this?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you for having me here. And this is my first time joining the Good Morning Show, and happy NFT Day. So before I introduce like why Trip.com ventured into Web3, I want to briefly introduce the Trekki NFT project. As they may be the first time many are hearing of the Trekki NFT project. So Trekki NFT project is actually a standalone NFT project that was incubated by the Trip.com group. And the Trip.com group has been a NASDAQ listed company since 2003. And right now, Trip.com group has over 45,000 employees and over 300 million members worldwide. And it is one of the leading online travel agencies in the world. And our Trekki NFT project is actually a collection of 10K adventurous dolphin-like NFT. Our goal of Trekki is to link the Web3 world and the Web2 world, and bringing the offline travel benefits to the Web3 users. And at the same time, we are aiming to bring the new Web3 experience to the traditional travel market. So the reason why Trip.com ventured into Web3, there are several reasons. The first thing is that we've seen the fast-growing Web3 market in the past few years, especially the year before 2023. we've seen estimated about 40% growth rate in the whole Web3 market, especially in the Asia Pacific country. The entire Web3 market growth rate is higher than the global average. And the Asia Pacific region is also the Trip.com's current focus market. This is one of the reasons we are entering the Web3 market and willing to try new things in the Web3 market. Although in the past year, especially this year, 2023, there has been a lot of negative news about Web3 world and also has impacted the Web3 market.
Yeah.
In the long term, Trip.com still believe there will be more traditional companies using the Web3 technology to create more value for users. And there will also be more Web3 applications appearing in the market, changing the traditional industry playbook. This is one of the reasons. The second reason is that we have already seen many well-known brands embracing Web3 and achieved great results, such as Nike, Tiffany, Gucci, Adidas, etc. They have already proven that Web2 brands can also achieve certain success in the Web3 space. But however, in the travel industry, we haven't seen any leading enterprise emerge in the Web3 space. And this represents a great entry opportunity for Trip.com. And the last reason is that Trekki has a unique benefit. Because generally speaking, it is kind of difficult for just one single company joining the Web3 to change the whole market dynamics and transform the consumer's traditional consumption behavior. This is because the value provided by just one company can rarely offset the cost for users to shift from their traditional spending behavior to a new one. But however, Trekki is in a different situation because we are backed by Trip.com. We naturally have many partnerships in travel industry, such as hotel groups, airlines, attractions, even tourism boards in different countries. So Trip.com's attempts at entering Web3 and issuing NFT will encourage more traditional travel brands to experiment with Web3 approaches. And these will more easily drive the transformation across the entire travel industry and changing the traditional travel consumers' consumption model and bring more benefits to our consumers. For example, let's say at the first you can only have Trip.com benefits by holding a Trekki NFT, but in the long run, as we are onboarding more and more travel brands and partners into our ecosystem, and the Trekki NFT holders can enjoy expanding array of benefits and privilege beyond just Trip.com. Yeah, that's it.
Right. So Trekki is the first travel themed NFT. So what else can we expect from joining this community? Is it discount on hotels, flights, attraction? Like, is it a loyalty program? Like, would you, like describe this community?
Yes, we are building a large travel theme community right now, and by holding a Trekki NFT, you can enjoy multiple benefits from our community and from our Trekki NFT. The first thing is that the Trekki NFT holders the Trekki NFT can be used as like a ticket or a free pass for offline events. The Trekki NFT holders can attend offline events which are hosted by Trip.com or Trekki for free via NFT, such as music festivals, food festivals, carnivals, etc. For example, in December of this year, we will hold a large offline event in Singapore that Trekki holders can attend that for free via Trekki NFT. And the next year, 2024, we are also planning a large concert in Thailand, and the Trekki can be used as a ticket for the concert. And second benefit the Trekki owners can enjoy is that the Trekki holders can participate in free airdrops activities and free mint activities in our community to get more Trekki NFT or our partnered NFTs for free. And at the same time, they can get a chance to receive Trekki branded merchandise in our community for free. And the third thing is that Holders can have direct access to our Trip.com top tiers membership benefits, and every Trekkie NFT holders can receive a large amount of the trip coins, which can be used on any hotels, flight, or attraction bookings on Trip.com as cash. And the next benefit is that we offer our Trekkie NFT holder priority access to the future Trekkie NFT. Because as I mentioned before, we are building a Trekkie ecosystem. As we are onboarding more and more travel brand partners into our Trekkie ecosystem, there will be more series of NFTs launching and providing holders with expanding array of benefits and privileges. So the Trekkie NFT holders can enjoy the priority purchase right for the other NFT projects in the future Trekkie ecosystem. And the last but not least, we offer the NFT holders a community decision-making power. The NFT holders can participate in our community decision and in community votings, such as in the last month, we held a Trekkie NFT character design contest in our community, and the winning Trekkie NFT character was voted and designed directly by our community members. And there are also interesting gameplay will be unlocked in the future for our Trekkie NFT members. The first thing is that we call that travel to earn, which means you can earn rewards and benefits through traveling and completing certain activities. The users who own a Trekkie NFT can stake their Trekkie NFT, we call Star Travel, to earn Trekkie tokens, we call postcards. And those Trekkie tokens can be later on be redeemed to more benefits, such as discount on hotels, flights, attractions, etc. And users can also stake multiple Trekkie NFTs simultaneously to increase the rate of earning the Trekkie token speed. In other words, users who stake multiple Trekkie NFTs at the same time will earn Trekkie tokens faster than staking just one Trekkie NFT. Another gameplay we call the travel to grow, which means our first batch of Trekkie NFT is our Generation 1 Trekkie, and each Generation 1 Trekkie can gain experience through traveling, we call aka staking. And when a Generation 1 Trekkie NFT earn enough experience, it will unlock one free mint access for a Generation 2 Trekkie NFT. And the Generation 2 Trekkie NFT can be minted through our website. And Generation 2 Trekkie NFT can also enjoy the travel to earn and the travel to grow gameplay mechanism. And typically they have better the Trekkie token earning speed, and they have faster Trekkie experience earning speed than the Generation 1 Trekkie NFT. And also you can feed Trip.com orders to increase your NFT experience earning speed, as well as the Trekkie token earning speed by feeding them with Trip.com orders. In this way, we actually connect the Web 2 world and the Web 3 world. As I mentioned before, this is the goal. Why we are creating the Trekkie NFT, because we want to bring the offline benefits to the Web 3 users by creating a brand new project. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Yeah. Ray, do you have any questions? Like, because we also have some questions here, but
I have a lot of questions, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's a lot of benefits. I think, I don't know, other than Trip.com, right? I think I've been talking to quite a lot of brands during my trip in Seoul and also in Singapore, right? I think the biggest difference is, I mean, honestly, right? Every business is here to make money, right? But how and why and what, right? I think it's that makes the difference, right? I think hearing what Ryan just mentioned, right? It feels like Trip.com actually has a right approach entering Web3. Right? I think it's actually very, very simple, to be honest, right? It's more about when you are an existing brand. You are not even a Web2 brand, right? I think even, for example, Ryan mentioned like LVMH and Adidas and Nike, they are not even Web2 brand, right? They are just brands, right? Yeah. I think the key part is whether you enter Web3, right, to want to give value first, right, or want to take value first, right? I think that part makes the biggest difference, right? I think I talked to the team behind Starbucks NFT, or they call it, I forgot exactly the name, right? But the
Odyssey.
Starbucks NFT, Odyssey, right? I think the key part for them is, okay, why are you launching in Web3, right, without charging people money or only charge a small fee and stuff like that, right? I think at the end of the day, on one hand, they believe that, okay, Web3 actually has a new technology that can be applied to their own industry, right? If they can take a head start, maybe they can win over Web3, right, in a shorter period of time. I think that's number one. Number two is for a lot of these kind of brands, I mean, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, right? I think the approach is more like, okay, you guys are spending millions or even like billions of dollars on marketing anyway, right? If we can just take 50% of them or 20% of them and give it back to loyal users, to loyal customers, to the loyal holders, right? I think that's where the value comes from. And of course, by doing that, you actually gain the word of mouth, and that's actually the most powerful marketing channel, right? For across like all media, all channels, right? Especially given the cost of acquisition is getting higher and higher these days, right? Is that what you guys think about when you think about, okay, launching Web3, giving away so many benefits and stuff like that?
Yes, exactly. Just like Ray just mentioned, we have spent millions of dollars marketing each year. And the Web3 project is one of our branding projects. So we are giving away many useful benefits for our users to increase the brand awareness of Trip.com around the world. And this actually can bring us more awareness and more new users, which later on, when they consume, when they purchase products on Trip.com, they can help us to generate more revenue in the later on. So we are actually the reason why we are entering the Web3 world, and we are seeing the potential growth rate in the Web3 market is because we've seen the growth flywheel we can build on by entering the Web3 world, because when we offer the benefits to Web3 users, we can create a brand awareness, and then we can attract more users to the Trip.com. We are not making money by like selling NFT or like sell our benefits to our Web3 users. We are making money by attract more users, attract more new users from the Web3 world as well as the Web2 world to our platforms. Because when we get more users using the Trip.com, we can generate a higher revenue later on. It's just like the marketing things. And the flywheel I mentioned about is that because we are creating we are not just the Trekki NFT, we are creating a Trekki ecosystem, which means we are onboarding more and more travel industry partners into our ecosystem. This is the important things we are building right now, because as I mentioned, just one company is hard to transform the whole the traditional Web2 travel industry consumers' behavior. That's the reason why we want to build a Trekki ecosystem, to invite more travel brand partners to join our ecosystem, to bring more benefits to our NFT holders. And with more partners joining our ecosystem, we can create more perks to our users, and more perks we can attract. We can increase the value of our NFT, right? And with increased value of the NFT, we can attract more users and more partners later on. And this can help us to create a positive feedback loop. And this is a growth flywheel of our Trekki NFT project. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean our team, right, has been discussing with the Trekki team for some time, right? I think from the get-go, right, we know that, okay, Trip.com really want to do something in Web3, right? Especially, I mean when you look at the demographic, right, the newer generation, the younger generation, right, they always love travel, right? And when you look at the Web3 demographic, right, it's almost the majority is the younger generation as well. So I think there's a perfect fit, right, for Web3 and travel, right? It's just that how to do it, right, and who to do it, right? And I think that when during the so-called bear market, right, we actually see more and more existing brands starting to look into Web3, right? Because most of the brands, they're not stupid people, right? I mean, they've been around for some time. They see different cycles, right? They see the ups and downs, right, of all the different industry, right? So somehow when the market is like super hot, it's actually really make them fear that, okay, if they launch something, it will flop really, really hard, right? Because after some time, then people don't hold it, don't care about it, right? So they always want to at least like look at like one cycle, right, to kind of see whether the technology, whether the hype is here to stay, right? That's why we see more and more really, really big company, right? Billions dollars of value company starting to get into Web3 when the market is down, right? This is actually pretty interesting to me, right? So Ryan, internally, when did you guys started to think about Web3? Would you mind sharing that? And also, is there any internal debate, discussion, or whether you guys should start Web3? Yeah.
Yes. So I actually don't remember the exact date why when we started to make a decision like the Crypto.com is going to enter the Web3 world, but it's probably in the last year, October or September. I can't remember the exact date because we have seen a great opportunity for us because you know there was a war between the Russia and Ukraine last year, and we've seen many people traveling around the world are more willing to use cryptocurrency for booking, and we've seen the market of the cryptocurrency booking in the travel industries keep growing, and our team and I discussed with our the leader team, our CEO, and the marketing lead, and to see whether we can have an experiment of like try to enter the Web3 world to see whether we can attract those users, because we are kind of new in the global market, Trip.com, and we are only have a great brand awareness in the Asia Pacific country, because that was our focus market. But as we are expanding our market to the global, so we need to entry point. We need to a niche market for us to entry. So which come up to us that, okay, Web3 market may be a good market because there are a few competitors in the country, in the market right now. And if we are the first the travel company that enter the market, we can acquire more Web3 users in a lower cost and attract more Web3 users to know us because we are the first one. And that is the point where made the decision that we are going to enter the Web3 market. And yes, we had a lot of debate internally, and actually the hardest thing for us to enter the Web3 world is not like the marketing, because honestly speaking, I currently feel that it's relatively easy for a Web2 brand to enter the Web3 market, especially for the brand that already have some brand awareness in the Web2 world. The most difficult thing is we have to internally to persuade every stakeholders in our company to agree with our plan, because we need support from different teams in our company. That is the biggest obstacles for us. But right now we have already done the persuasion, and we are marching into the Web3 market right now, and everything goes through pretty well right now currently from my perspective. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have last question for Ryan. So Trekki is actually really cute. Like if you don't know what Trekki looks like, it's like a little dolphin. So can you tell us like the design behind the cute dolphin, and is this going to be potentially an IP project going on with Trekki as well?
Yeah, sure. The inspiration for Trekki character design is actually originates from the dolphin mascot of Trip.com. But however, unlike the original dolphin mascot, the Trekki has a more we call anthropomorphized design. It's more like a human, and integrates with a brand new background story of Trekkies world, which is a group of extraterrestrial creatures we call Trekkie from a dying world come to Earth to explore and seek new resources for survival. And this is our Trekkie worldview, and this is our Trekkie story background. And yes, we are turning Trekkie into an IP, and it's definitely a part of our game plan. And the Trekkie will be a hybrid NFT actually. We think Trekkie is kind of part of the PFP and a part of equity rights. We are actually creating some cool plans to really build out Trekkie as a brand and expand a Trekkie universe. And this is just the beginning, and there will be a lot more potential to unlock with our alien travel pal Trekkie. And this is how we define Trekkie. The Trekkie is our alien travel pal. They can travel with you together when you travel all around the world. And one more thing I want to mention is that because we are actually really trying to build a Trekkie brand, and for every NFT holders after they purchase a Trekkie NFT, they can also monetize it by creating physical and virtual merchandise based on the Trekkie NFT they hold. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're very excited. People are saying, when are we going to have a Trekkie zone at every airport? When is going to have a Trekkie private jet? So we are actually doing a special giveaway of 50 guaranteed Trekkie NFT whitelist to our audience. So yeah, we will do a raffle, and maybe you will be the winner. And we will announce the winners after the show. So
how do you get it? How do you get on the raffle?
So if you're an audience right now, if you're listening and right now, you will have a chance. So invite your friends to join this. Yeah. So
I mean,
thank you so much.
this is I want to add right, because I think market is down bad, right? But I've seen that there's quite a lot of hype about Trekkie, right? And I think I just want to mention one thing, right? When you see a $1 billion company, right, launching NFT the right way, I think that the right approach is not really to flip it, right? It's more about, okay, how can you actually try to understand more, right? Because I think at the end of the day, Web3 is here to stay. I'm 100% Web3 is here to stay. If not, I would cut my dick off, right? I think this is definitely here to stay, right? But yeah, you can quote me on that, right? But I think that the key is for big companies, right? They're willing to do this. This is actually very exciting, right? Because I mean, our business team has been talking to Trekkie team for quite some time. I think for our holders, right, we get some. I mean, we actually kind of like squeeze Trekkie.com to get a lot of benefit, right? I think that part we understand the value. Yeah, I really hope that. I mean, I know that a lot of people are like expert traders, right? But I think it makes sense to kind of like hold on to it, and then to see what Trekkie is gonna do, right? Especially if you love traveling. Right. I think. Oh, by the way, Ryan, I think I just met a friend, Amanda Cassette. I think she was also on our show before. She's actually she was the ex CMO of Consensus, and then she's starting her she has a home marketing agency called Serotonin. Right? I think she's moving to Hong Kong. What she wants to do is exactly kind of like helping company like Trekkie, right? Already big in Asia, right? And trying to talk to the Western audience, right? Because right now, when there's like a new layer, for example, like Web3, that's actually, you need to talk to the right people, right? That's why Amanda feels like, okay, this is like huge opportunity, right? She can become the bridge. And that's why she moves the company to, I mean, she opens a company in Hong Kong, and she also planning to move to Hong Kong. Right? And that's something that we will get her help with Meme Coin, with Memeland, right? Because at the end of the day, we are number one in Asia, right? But it seems like, okay, the Western audience doesn't really know us that well, right? And at the same time, a lot of Western projects, they actually get most of the holders in China, in Southeast Asia, right? But they actually don't do much in this area as well. So I think you should talk to Amanda. Yeah, after the show, let me make some introduction, and then I think let's see how we can help Trekkie, and also how we can also get more benefit, right, for Memeland holders. Yeah.
Great.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. We are happy to connect to Amanda and to see whether we can
she's
get more
awesome.
resources. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Ryan. We are so excited to see what's going to have offer from Trekkie, and our holders are very excited too. So good to have you and to explain a little bit of what's going on. So we will talk to you soon.
Bye, Ryan. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Ryan.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, if I tomorrow,
Quote Ray again.
not even tomorrow, like in a few minutes, I'm gonna
Few
turn on
minutes.
my Twitter, and I can't wait to see what I'm gonna see from what you just said, Ray. That's just hilarious. Okay, okay, I gotta compose myself because that was just too funny. But yes, Trekkie sounds exciting. And then Karen, you're probably gonna tell us more about audience how to get involved.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll have more information on I'll post it more information later. But once again, we're gonna have another guest today.
Yeah, the main guest. Sorry, like he's in the waiting for so long in the green room. He's like, "How long is this show?" Okay, hold
So
on. Let me do the intro first. Hold on. Let me do the intro first. Okay. Our special guest today is the co-founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief of NFT Now, the award-winning Web3 digital media platform building the future of tokenized media. This is a lot of stuff I want to ask him about. As an early adopter of blockchain and AI, he's worked to bridge the worlds of media, culture, and technology to uplift creatives for nearly a decade. Since launching in only 2021, so it's not even that old, but NFT Now has brought to market innovative Web3 products like the Now Pass and industry-leading events like the Gateway, which we'll talk about, and NFT, and also we'll talk about the NFT 100, as well as becoming the first ever digital media publication to curate a major auction house sale. Yahoo Finance has ranked him among the top 10 most influential figures in the NFT space. Please welcome to the show, Matt Medved.
Hey, Matt.
GM. Thank you for the great introduction. That was amazing.
We love an MMA introduction.
I love it.
So we
Great to
just
see
met.
you, Ray.
Yeah, we met in Singapore. So you're now in Hong Kong. Welcome to Hong Kong.
Thank you. It's my first time ever in Hong Kong.
What?
And I love it. I love it so far. Like incredible energy.
You have to say that though.
No, but like I really mean it. Like, you know, a lot of people told me, you know, I live in New York, so I love that like scale and I love that kind of pulse and that energy. And a lot of people told me Hong Kong has that energy, but it's also got like amazing mountains and nature and all this. And like it's just, I'm really loving it. I'm excited to be able to spend some time exploring it this weekend as well before I head out.
Awesome.
Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna start the interview first, Matt, because we didn't get a lot of chance to chit chat in Singapore last week, and I didn't come to Korea to see your stuff, so we want to hear all about that.
Yeah.
Your experience so far in Asia. But you know, since we're producing this kind of live stream podcast thing, I wanted to ask you, how did you start NFT Now? I want to know. I know your background is in media. But you know, how did you start NFT Now? What's it like doing podcasts? You know, things like that. Because I think a part of the show here that Ray and I also want to do, and Karen, is to kind of inspire people in Asia to pick up the mic and start doing their shows as well and things like that. So, but coming from you, and a lot of people read NFT Now here in Asia. So we want to hear a little bit about your backstory. How did you start it with your co-founder? What's the vision? You know, Ray and I know we own NFT Now passes as well. So we want to talk a little bit about that as well before we get into the whole Asia talk.
Yeah, no, happy to talk through it. I'll give you the brief background, you know, the brief story, because long story, very short. So yeah, I come from, you know, more than 15 years at the intersection of culture and media. So I founded Billboard Dance, Billboard's dance electronic music brand in 2015, built that into the leader of North America, globally, and then took over Billboard's content strategy, helped them launch Billboard Hip Hop, like really maximize Billboard Latin, Billboard K-pop, et cetera, all those verticals. Billboard acquired Spin Magazine, and I took that over as editor-in-chief. That was always my favorite magazine growing up, so it was really special for me. I turned that around and exited with the sale of that to private equity at the top of 2020. And then I was running content at Modern Luxury, the lifestyle publisher, when my good friend Blau, the DJ producer who you may know, who's been a real pioneer at the forefront of music NFTs, pulled me down the NFT rabbit hole in 2020. And what's interesting for me is that I've been dabbling in crypto since 2013. Bought my first Bitcoin at the top of that market. I was the top signal, and then 2016 to 18, realized I was the only person at Billboard who owned crypto or understood it at all. So started doing a lot of coverage at the intersection of like music and blockchain, trying to figure out how could this empower musicians, thinking a lot about royalties and things like that. Did a lot of stuff with RAC and Blau and all that. But I think we're just a little early because for me, NFTs were the missing puzzle piece. And that's when I realized, hey, this is the technology that I've believed in for a long time, finally disrupting fields I'm actually passionate about, art, music, and culture, because I'm not a finance guy at the end of the day. I'm a culture guy, and in a way that could empower creators. And so that was, what motivated me to really dive deep, headfirst into the space. I actually went out to visit my good friend Alejandro Navia, who's been a friend of mine for 8 years, in Jackson Hole. In fall of 2020, I was supposed to unplug, was supposed to spend no time on tech, just like go see some nature. Instead, I come in wild-eyed. Speaking of NFTs, I pull him down the rabbit hole with me and start the NFT Now accounts in January 2021. They start taking off, and we realize that we have an opportunity to build the media company of the future. And so the rest is kind of history. We launched the newsletter in March of 2021. We launched the podcast in April. We all made the full-time jump in June. We launched the website in September, and we did the first gateway with Christie's that December during Miami Basel. And it's been an amazing journey. Wow.
So the first thing you launched was the newsletter 2021. The market is crazy. So how much was a, because what it's like today, but back then, like, how did you guys think, okay, this is what we're going to do. We really believe in this. And newsletter is obviously a lot of people made a lot of money doing newsletters now. So I guess that was kind of the easy way in. You've got a great voice. Alejandro's got a great voice. So a lot of great interviews probably came out. But talk a little bit about like what platforms you guys use, like how did all that stuff come about?
Yeah, look, we started on Substack and then we moved over to MailChimp, owned and operated all that. For us, I think the NFT space moves so quickly. So that was a really good touch point, to regularly weekly check in with our audience. One of the things we really think about when it comes to audience and community segments is the tourists, the purists in the space. Full credit. I want to give full credit. We actually we got that framework from Virgil Abloh, who we were fortunate enough to have an advisory call with in our early days when he was first learning about Web3 and the like. And he was the one who told us about how he thinks about luxury and the fashion markets in terms of tourists and purists, right? Like the tourists are the ones buying the handbags and the accessories. The purists are the ones going deep on couture and all the fashion week, right? And so we think about that when we think about Web3 too. There are the purists are the degens who are down the rabbit hole, up until crazy hours on Twitter Spaces, trading shit coins, doing all that stuff. And then you have the tourists, who especially during that time were really curious about NFTs, maybe didn't understand it, had never set up a MetaMask, maybe saw one of their favorite artists post about it, they were really curious, they wanted to learn more. And so, we think, okay, we have the daily content offerings that are more for the purists. We saw that newsletter a little bit more for the tourists because it was the weekly check-in, what did you miss in the week of if you're not living on Twitter, if you're not degenning on Twitter Spaces, at a once a week, what's that that check-in. And so that's been really special. And our newsletter's grown. We're over 50,000 subscribers, and it's been a really special journey there. And we think about, we've always said we're an omni-channel media company. So even though we are building tokenized media and we are building the future Web3 media, we also recognize that we have to meet the market where it is. And so part of that is meeting the market on the platforms that they trust, meeting them in their inbox, meeting them on social platforms, etc. It's always an and, it's never an or for us. So.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's talk about tokenized media. I think this is one of the big selling points of NFT Now, what you guys are building. It's a whole new, well, not a whole new, but I guess to people who are not into tokenization of media, they don't understand what this is all about. And I think this is, with Friend Tag coming up so big, there's a lot of how do people control their content out instead of just posting it on platforms for free? So maybe talk a little bit about your vision for the tokenized media future of NFT Now.
Yeah, so one thing that's really notable is like obviously, as I explained, I come from legacy media. Alejandro as well from the business side of media. He was at Elite Daily, like helped with their sale to the Daily Mail for 50 million. Did mergers and acquisitions at Verizon. Like so we got to see like firsthand just how broken the Web 2 media model was. And one of the reasons why we're building what we're building is we feel like there's a way to build a better media model leveraging this technology, one that like really realigns incentives and also allows us to verify the truth. Which I think is really critical, especially in the age of AI, misinformation, disinformation. So when I talk about tokenized media, I think about it in two buckets. There's the tokenization of actual media, which for a long time, when I would explain it to people, like their eyes would glaze over, like they didn't find it interesting, but that all changed. That's the tokenization of articles, blog posts, audio, video, photo, et cetera, on the blockchain. With verifiable authenticity, on-chain provenance, et cetera. That all changed after those AI generated photos of Donald Trump getting arrested went viral, fooled a ton of people in Middle America, especially after that explosion, the AI generated explosion at the Pentagon. Yeah, the Pope with Balenciaga,
the Pope wearing the puffy,
that explosion at the Pentagon took billions off the S&P 500. And the thing is that's really important to note is that AI is never going to be less sophisticated than it is right now. It is only going to get better. It is only going to get more hyper realistic, and it's only going to become a more powerful tool for bad actors, nefarious, interests, etc. And so there's going to be a real need to be able to tokenize media, verify that it's the truth, verify that it comes from the source it says it's from. That's the big thing. That AI generated explosion, came from a Twitter account that like was posing as Bloomberg and it had like an extra R or G or whatever. And like, you know what I mean? And it's like, and the thing is for us, we're not interested in like dictating content moderation or being like, we're the arbiters of what the truth is. We'll leave that to the media companies. What we want to be able to do is make it really turnkey, easy, seamless solution to be able to say, hey, you can verify that this article or that this photo or whatever came from BBC, came from Bloomberg, came from New York Times, etc. And that's going to be possible through this, as we said, like on-chain provenance. And one of the things that we also want to do is get away from the financialization speculation around tokenizing media. Obviously, there will be collectible content, right? So when I was at Billboard, we did 7 figures in revenue in 24 hours with the BTS cover story, right? That was a big box set that we sold of of the covers. That's tapping into fandom. That's collectible content, right? You can easily imagine doing something like that around a big release or a big artist with a huge fan base with NFTs and collectible and like tokenized media, right? That's great. But also, there's every single news article that we ever did about BTS. There's all of these other things, these more daily routine pieces of content, pieces of media. Those need to be tokenized too. And those don't necessarily have speculative financial value. They just need to be tokenized as a utility. That way you can say, hey, I saw this news article. Did it come from Billboard? Did it come from this trusted source? Et cetera. So that's going to be really powerful. The other bucket of tokenized media is the tokenization of communities around media. And that's really what we're building with and dogfooding with ourselves with the Now Pass, with the Now Network. And that's where it gets to these areas where, like, for example, one thing that's important to know about NFT Now Media is that from day one, we have never had any pixels, cookies on our website. We do not track our users. We believe privacy is a fundamental human right. And as part of that, we recognize that the Web 2 media business model, which is largely based on programmatic ads, we don't have any programmatic ads on the site, led to this like clickbait race to the bottom, where media companies were incentivized to game algorithms, whether it was the Facebook algorithm, Google, Twitter, et cetera, led to more homogenization and coverage. That we always say that people are in media these days, people are loyal to the headline, not the brand, because everybody's like trying to cover the same thing the same way. It's why you see all these cookie cutter coverage, clickbait, stuff of people trying to cover things the same way to game the algorithm, get a quick like advantage to get more clicks, because ultimately more clicks power, that business model. We actually think there's a better way. And we think that actually does a disservice to communities and audiences in media, because it prioritizes audience scale over audience depth, right? And so there's actually really a lot of value to having potentially a smaller audience, but a very like highly influential or highly situated or like, really, really diehard audience. And the Web 2 media model never really like captured that in a great way. And so for us, we're like, cool, what if we could realign incentives and create a situation where, instead of it just being a one-way street where people aren't loyal to media brands and the like, they can actually participate in that ecosystem, feel like they have a sense of ownership and a share in that, and be able to have a say in what's get covered, co-curate, co-create what's happening. One of the things we've always said when we launched the Now Pass is that we believe media companies shouldn't serve you advertisements, they should serve you opportunities. And that's really like what we're doing with the Now Network. So like Now Pass holders are going to be able to earn experience points in exchange for engaging with our content, sharing our content, contributing to NFT Now, and then going into our rewards marketplace and being able to exchange those points, if they hold a Now Pass for, these, all sorts of rewards, experiences, opportunities, perks, NFTs, et cetera, rewards and things that we can leverage just based on our amazing connections. We have so many amazing relationships with artists, with builders, with founders, with projects, and we can leverage those to create value for our community. Yeah. The other thing I'll say, because I can talk about this for a long time, obviously. So, the other thing I'll say is that one of the things we're really excited about is the opportunity to empower our community to co-create the content and curate content within curated content series. So we have a content series called Next Up that is really close to my heart because it's all about rising artists and showcasing rising artists. And right now, we've showcased so many amazing rising artists, but ultimately the editorial process is pretty centralized. It's pretty and we never wanted to be the new gatekeepers of this space, right? What excites me about this space is the opportunity to move past gatekeepers and move past traditional hierarchies. So right now, I get my editorial team together. We select the artists we think are doing a great job. They become Next Up. They get the honorific. They get the feature. But we want to open that up to the community so that they can actually vote and nominate artists, Now Pass holders in a token curated registry TCR model. So it's all on chain, and by doing so, also sharing that value they're creating. So tokenized media, we're working on both sides, both the tokenization of actual media and the tokenization of communities around media.
Yeah. Before I let Ray or Karen ask a question, one more question from me. So you've been doing this now for 2 years, which is like 20 years in normal time. You've also had this background from traditional media. You see what other things are going on. This space has not only newsletters and podcasts, it's got Twitter Spaces, we got live streams. People are talking on Twitch and Kick and whatever. What kind of opportunities do you see that maybe are not done yet? I think already what you're doing is already very exciting and very new. But being in the States and maybe seeing some of the stuff you saw in Asia, maybe do you see what kind of opportunities or what kind of things do you think that the media world should kind of look into? Maybe some advice for us, even, we're doing this. What kind of advice do you have that maybe for us building the communities is one thing, but is there any other technologies we should be looking at or any things that are through the gap that you don't see that should be filled?
It's a really good question. I think one thing that's really, really critical is thinking about your coverage through the lens of intentionality versus reaction, right? Like intention versus reaction. I think that it's really easy in this space, especially in Web3, where there's a million things happening every minute, to simply have your coverage be at the behest of whatever's happening in space. Obviously, we have to, if something big is happening, OPEPin's going crazy, we have to cover that. We need to make sure that our community knows what's happening. Our community has that finger on the pulse. But I think there's a danger in allowing your coverage compass to be purely dictated by outside forces, right? That's one of the things that we're really passionate about and really intentional about, is having intentional coverage, being able to say, hey, look, this isn't something that's popping on Twitter. This isn't something that some publicist pitched me, but I recognize that this is something that's brewing, or I recognize that this artist is doing something really special here, or I recognize that this project is doing something here. I think that is actually how you differentiate yourself from the crowd. I think that's also how you catch trends before they're seen. One of the things that's important for me is I always say, me personally, I'm much more curator than reporter. I've broken a lot of big stories in my time, but mostly my thing, especially in even Billboard spin years, was always I want to find what's next, right? Being at Billboard, I was super early to artists like Kygo, Marshmello, Chainsmokers, Black Coffee, Alice in Wonderland, those were artists I championed from a very early point. And in Web3, it was the same with artists like Fuocious and artists like, Alpha Centauri Kid and Diana Sinclair and Drift and the like. And so for me, it's what? Nobody told me go cover Drift, right? Nobody pitched me on Diana Sinclair, but I recognized they were doing that. I was I see it. I could see where that's going. Like, I believe in that art form. I believe in this artist. And so like we then looked like Prescient. I mean, we put Jack Butcher on the NFT Now podcast in 2021. Long before checks, long before that, because we recognized what he was doing with visualized value and all that. And so it's like, like that's what I think is really important, is coming from a place of intentionality, because that's how you get ahead of the curve. That's how you skate to where the puck is going. And I think it's really easy when there's so much happening in the space, so much coming at you, to only be reactionary.
Great. I have a question, like to link back to the title of today. Why Asia? Because like you were in Seoul, you were in Singapore, now you're in Hong Kong. I want to know what's the purpose of this trip. Like I want to know the insider information, like what's cooking,
Yeah, let's go. There's so much to talk about. And there's also some things I can't quite talk about yet, which is even more exciting.
That's
but
good.
like,
Yeah.
There it is. There's a lot of alpha coming. But Asia is incredibly important to us. Like, we are moving into Asia in a really big way. And I think that we really showed that we're walking that walk, not just talking that talk, with the Gateway Korea. So the Gateway Korea is the first global edition of the Gateway. It's the largest digital art experience ever to come to Korea, which was really special. 3 days. We premiered Keith Haring's like never before seen like digital works from the 80s with Christie's. We featured Beeple, brought Beeple out, for his first ever exhibition in Korea. We did we worked with like Adidas Studio to showcase their launch of residency, like their Web3 like artist residency. We did a ton, and what was really special was like also putting Korean artists front and center. We had an amazing fireside chat with Krista Kim, where we actually airdropped the first tokenized podcast episode with her to all Now Pass holders, which is going to have, when we launch the Now Network membership portal with the rewards area, that's going to have, that's going to unlock some things there. We're going to start to see a lot more of that as we tokenize more media. Another thing that was really significant is we chose Korea and Gateway Korea to announce our expansion to Now Media. We are moving from just NFT Now to Now Media, where NFT Now is just one of our brands. And we also have like Now Runway for digital fashion luxury, Now AI, which is the intersection of like AI and the creative economy. We obviously have Gateway, which we're going to continue to bring that back to Korea, continue to scale that, and also look to bring that to other markets as well. So there's a lot more coming, but that it's not accidental that we chose Korea for all of this. From the beginning, we recognized that like we really do think the next bull run is going to come out of Asia, and we really believe that Korea specifically is an incredible gateway to the APAC region because of its homegrown culture that has gone global and the IP there. And so we did the Gateway Korea in partnership with FactBlock, one of the organizers for Korea Blockchain Week, and it was one of the main events of Korea Blockchain Week. It was really, really special. It happened at the same time as Free Seoul and Seoul Fashion Week. So it was really important for us to bring crypto and culture together, right? That's what we bring, is that culture side. And so, when I think about it, I lived in South Korea for 1 year right after my undergraduate. So 한국말 조금해요. I can speak a little bit, like I can still get my way around. But what was really special was I remember being there in 2008, 2009, and just being blown away by how ahead of the curve everything was. Like, I remember turning on the television and seeing StarCraft on TV. And this was 3 years before Twitch was founded. You know what I mean? I remember doing careers lesson with my students and asking what they wanted to be when they grew up. And I thought they were all saying programmer. They're like, no, teacher, pro gamer. And like, when I started to see, it's true. And like, when I started to see esports rising in Europe, I was just like, I was like, game over. Like, I already saw this in Korea. Like this is going to take over the world. And so like, for us too, like it was really interesting because during that time, I was able to travel around the Asian region, and I saw how, Korean pop music and Korean dramas were like incredibly influential within the Asian region, across Southeast Asia, across East Asia. And at that time it was like Big Bang and Girls' Generation, all that. But now it's Blackpink headlining Coachella. It's BTS is one of the biggest bands in the world. It's Squid Game's #1 on Netflix. It's Hive acquiring like Scooter Braun's, company Ithaca for $1 billion. Yeah. It's Parasite winning the Oscar. Like, none of this is accidental. Like, Korean culture is having this like incredible moment of global cultural crossover, and I think that that's going to have a precipitous effect just across the Asian region in general, as well as we think about like penetration of that culture to the West. And so for us, like we're really doubling down on Asia in a big way. We also recognize that Korea has long been like a major player, market maker in crypto and the like. And so, we really do think that the region is going to be a really big player when it comes to the next cycle for Web3, for NFTs, for gaming, etc. And we really do see this as being like, there's a reason why, we've been out here. I mean, I've been out here for almost a month now. Alejandro's been here for like a month and a half. And Ale, actually, is a little bit alpha. Like, Ale is going to be moving to Korea for a period next year to help continue to stand up our media efforts in the region. So that's going to be really, really special. And yeah, like, I was in Singapore. I spoke at Token 2049. I did an amazing panel with Frank D. Gods and Luca Netz, from Pudgy, and Amanda, who you mentioned earlier, moderated that one. It was really, really special. And the conversation was great. And by the way, it does not feel like a bear market out there. It does not feel like a bear market at Token. That place was packed. That conference was buzzing. Like, I think that Ray said it really well when he said that, when you just spend time on Twitter, it's really easy to see all the negativity, to feel the doom and gloom from the headlines, all that. But when you get there IRL, you get that energy, you interface IRL with people who are building the future of this space. It's very hard not to be inspired. And that's always actually been one of our goals with the Gateway, was for everybody who comes to the Gateway, whether it was, our 2 editions in Miami, to Korea, we want them to leave feeling as inspired about the future of this space and Web3 as we do. And so we actually just announced Gateway Miami at Faena Forum during Miami Art Basel. That's going to be really, really special. And we're already thinking about how we can do it bigger and better in Korea. But it was really special. It was amazing bringing it there. Like I honestly, like, I could not be happier with how it went. The feedback has just been absolutely incredible. And being able to showcase those artists, being able to bring so many artists to the region for the first time, has been, it's been a long time in the making. We're very intentional about when we enter new markets. Like, we've been speaking to FactBlock about this since 2021, but I feel like we really did this at the right time in the right way, and feel really grateful for our partners, and feel honestly really grateful to everyone across, to everywhere we've been who showed up. Like, Web3 is all about showing up. And so, like, we had an incredible attendance for Gateway Korea, incredible attendance for our panels and our event. We did an event with ARC and Memeland in Singapore. It was a really special event. It was great to be a partner on that. And then, even just all the meetings we've been having here in Hong Kong have been super productive, super fruitful. I'm going to be sad to leave. Yeah. I'm already planning my next trip. So.
Yep, I basically see Matt and Alec everywhere. I mean, in Seoul, in Singapore, and then also in Hong Kong, right? Two nights ago, right? I think it's crazy to see the energy, right, from you guys, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I think you mentioned it very, very well. I think there are a lot of Western companies, right, or Western founders, right? They say that, okay, Asia is a future, right? But at best, they only hire like some GM, right? Like a local, right? And then, okay, become like a country manager, a GM. And they never really go to Asia, right? Maybe it goes once a year, right? When they host an event or conferences, right? I don't think that works, right? I think you need to be on the ground, right? To really feel the vibe, right? To really talk to people, to tell them, okay, you actually care, you actually believe in what you said, right? I think you need the conviction, right? I think, for example, like Alec moving to Korea and Amanda moving to Hong Kong, right? This is actually fucking huge to me, right? Because in the past, you only see Asian founders moving to the US for Silicon Valley and stuff like that, right? Right now, you see like US founders moving to Asia, right? Because they actually believe in what they do. And I think this is something that I really feel like after the trip is I mean, people in Web3, we generally asking for alpha, right? But the alpha is more about like short-term alpha, right? Okay, how can I flip this NFT? How can I flip that project, right? But the alpha is, okay, can you zoom out and then look at, okay, what is the industry that is which industry is growing, right? And which market is growing, and were you willing to bet on it long term, right? And I think that's the real alpha, right? I mean, when you look at like all the let's call it like richest people on earth, right? I mean, they don't really flipping projects and stuff like that, right? Not for like small profit, right? They actually bet on the industry and be right about it, right? And then that part is actually very, very meaningful, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's really good to see you guys doing more stuff, right, in Asia and stuff. And to be honest, I have to admit, when I first learned about NFT now, I just feel like, okay, how many people are actually reading NFT now, right, and following NFT now, right? It's not really a lot comparing to some other like so-called Web3 media or some other like traditional media, right? But the more that I work with you guys, the more that I learn about you guys, right, I was like, okay, shit, you guys are actually building something premium instead of, okay, taking the same old path, right, of all those clickbaits and stuff, right? I mean, we come from Web2 background, so we understand how it works, right? And also, you guys are also come from a media background, right? So we know all the good, bad, and ugly of the existing space, right? And how can we use Web3 to actually make something meaningful? I'm not saying that we will be successful, right? But I'm saying that, okay, it is worth trying. And if we succeed, this can be huge, right? That's why when you explain to me the NFT now vision, okay, you don't really take you basically you leave a lot of money on the table, right? By taking them very scammy deals and stuff like that, right? Initially, it immediately get my respect. Also get my, I would say, I resonate a lot with that. Yeah, so I think this is actually very awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, like you said, we you know, in our first 9 months, we said no to every single potential like partnership, sponsored content, opportunity, etc. During the bull run, we left high seven figures in revenue on the table, which is not easy to do, by the way, as a young Web3 media startup, right? But we recognize that you know, it would have cost us our credibility, and so like, you know, every single low effort PFP, like, you know, cookie cutter cash grab, scam, rug pull, etc., was trying to throw money at us for marketing and promo, and we said no to all of them. You know, we said no to all of them, and ultimately, the first partners that we said yes to were Coinbase and United Masters. And that's the level that we set. That's the level bar that we set. And that's the signal we sent to the market. And I think that's made all the difference, because so many of, you know, when we started, there were so many like potential quote unquote competitors who prioritize short-term revenue over long-term credibility. And most of them don't exist anymore.
Yeah. And my question, right? I think in Asia, I mean, of course, I understand that you guys have like a very long-term view. I think tokenized media makes a lot of sense. I think if we can verify, right, whether a news is true or not, right, I think that's huge, right? I think I was discussing with you, right, during the dinner. I mean, nowadays when we look at like media, right, or how people consume information, right, there is a lot of like misinformation or fake news and stuff like that, right? For the older generation, it's because they never really use WhatsApp or Telegram or WeChat, right, whatever platform that they used before. So they see the things that other people share, right? They almost assume that this is real, this is true, right? That's for the older generation, right? For the newer generation, it's almost like, okay, oh, let's don't care whether it's real or not. Let's react first, right? I mean, that's what younger people do, right? They react very quickly, right? So how can you kind of like solve this, right, with tokenized media? Because at the end of the day, I need to know where the truth is, right, before I go to search there, right? How can you make this like a thing? Do you plan to integrate with a lot of like existing media and stuff like that? Yeah.
Exactly. That you nailed it, right? Like we're planning to integrate with a lot of existing media. We're building some really interesting tech that'll be able to integrate with digital publishers, you know, their existing newsrooms, their existing CMSs and content management, and enable them to publish to the blockchain, go from Web 2 to Web 3 in like 3 clicks or less, you know what I mean? And make it really simple and easy to see, you know, visually, whether, you know, this has been authenticated, whether this has been verified on chain with verifiable authenticity. And so, you know, obviously, we want to make it super simple, really easy visually for people who are not deep in the space. Obviously, people who are crypto native and want to like go through the, you know, the ether scans and all that can like go see the exact like trajectory of that. But we want to make it very simple visually, very simple to experience, and integrate into what legacy media is already doing. Because look, as I said, I spent years at Billboard, Spin, etc. Legacy media is not going to figure this out for themselves. They're just trying to stay afloat. You know what I mean? In a tough business model, you know, it's the same thing. We see this as really being the next frontier. You know, technology has always pushed storytelling forward, right? Like from the Gutenberg printing press, bringing the written word to the masses, to the rise of digital. And, you know, the media companies that embraced .com earlier are the ones that really survived and thrived. Then you had the rise of mobile. And the media companies that adapted to mobile and social and all of that, are the ones that continue to maintain their relevance. And we see tokenized media as that next frontier. To us, it's inevitable. By 2035, I think every piece of media will be tokenized in some form if it's coming from a reputable organization. And so we see the clear need. And what's interesting is that ever since the rise of AI, media companies recognize it now too, which is something that's different from when we started. When we started, like nobody really understood the need for it. Now they're very concerned about it, and we're having conversations with some of the biggest media companies in the world about how we can help them with this. So.
Yeah, I think that's how business is built, right? I mean, on one hand, you need to have that sense, you need to have that, I would say that conviction, right, into what you're building, right? But honestly, I think whether market understand what you're building, right? I think that properly usually takes some time. And of course, we also have to polish how we communicate with the existing companies, with the existing brands, with the existing market, right? But when the time comes, right, it can just make everything easy, right? But to be honest, you don't just wait for there's a wind, right? And then you start to build a ship, right? You actually have to build a ship when there's no wind, right? When there's like bad weather, right? So that when the weather is good, right? When the wind is here, then you can actually sail, right? I think this is how we see it right now. I mean, I'm old enough, right, to understand. Okay, there's cycle, right? There's always kind of like a bubble and stuff, right? And then will be the bubble exploded, right? And then the real company is born. Right? I think for that part, right? I think for NFT now, my question is, okay, you guys are building something very meaningful, right? But when do you see, okay, so-called the next bull run is coming, right? And also, how can you survive, right, before the next bull run comes? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. So one thing that's important to know is like, not our first rodeo, right? Like for Ale and I, this is our third crypto cycle. And so like we knew even during the euphoria that like the winter was coming, right? Like the bear was coming. These things are cyclical. I do think that, we're definitely looking to the Bitcoin halving in 2024. I think that that's going to start to shift the narratives from bearish to bull. And then there's a lot of other macro factors at play, like the ETFs, stuff like that. But I do think that like we're going to start to see, and this is, look, I'm not a finance guy. I'm not a trader. So, this is just my own personal opinion, but I think we're going to see things start to trend more bull towards the second half of 2024. Maybe depending on some other factors, I could potentially see a bull, like things go bullish really in 2025. But ultimately, like we're building for bull or bear, right? And so, we recognize that actually like people say bear markets are for builders. It's almost become a cliche, but it's really true. Like I can tell you, we actually thrive during the bear because there's so many fewer shiny objects and distractions, and like we can really focus on keeping the main thing. And that's, I think, really, really important. So for us, we're actually taking the opportunity for this time to really double down on the areas that we can uniquely do, and setting everything up for that next bull. Because we also recognize that in the next bull, there's going to be a lot of new people coming to join. We want to make sure that we have the right resources for them. We want to make sure that we're set up to be able to bring them in the right way. So one thing that's important to note is that while a lot has changed since we founded NFT Now in January 2021, the one thing that has not changed is our mission. And that is empower the creators of culture and bring this movement from niche to mainstream. And the latter is really important because there are a lot of people out there who are happy to preach to the crypto native choir, but that's never been us. We want to convert the masses. We want to bring the big brands in. We want to go like bring them in a right way. We want to bring in retail in the right way. We want to make sure that they're set up for success, that they're not taken advantage of, that they've got, they understand wallet security, and they understand like the nature of the markets, and they understand the power and potential of this technology besides simply a speculative asset, right? That's where I think it gets really exciting and fun. A lot of people come for the potential financial gains, but end up staying for the community or the art or the potential or the technology or the innovation or things like that. That's a natural part of this, right? And so we welcome that, and we want to really help empower the next generation of users in this space to be able to interact with this ecosystem in a seamless, frictionless, and safe way. And like we talked about, like the future of this space, really looks like people owning things digitally. They may not be talking about NFTs. They may not be talking about wallets. They may not be, like crypto savvy at all, but it comes down to digital ownership. And, one thing we always say is we are all part of the last generations to grow up without digital ownership from day one. So future generations aren't going to have the same hangups as us. This is so clear to us. And you already see this with the younger generations, like Gen Z on Roblox and Fortnite. Like, they understand the power of digital ownership. They understand the value in owning digital assets and your own and ownership in your own digital identity. And that's only going to become more prevalent and normal as we move forward. So we're really, I always tell people, zoom out, and it becomes really clear like where the puck is going.
Yeah, I think I recently just watched an old video about when credit card was first introduced, like in America in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, people think that it's stupid, right? I mean, people think that, oh, it's so weird, right, to use a card. Why we already have cash, right? Why do we have to use credit card, right?
It's for the Burger King thing, right?
Yeah. I think that one. Yeah, I think the thing is, I mean, of course, we can discuss whether credit card is good or bad, right? I think a lot of people, they kind of like overspend. I think that's bad, right? But I mean, the technology itself is I would say is neutral, right? I think it also enables a lot of more people, right, to make it easier for them to make transactions and stuff. I honestly feel like crypto is even bigger than that, right? But somehow I think you need to, as you mentioned, you need to zoom out, right? I think right now the main narrative in the so-called Web3 or crypto industry, also, okay, the institutional is coming, right? I think we were discussing that at the dinner, right? And then I forgot whether you or Alec mentioned that, okay, the institutional has come, right? I mean, all those like big banks and like traditional financial companies, right? They're already in it, right? I think the real game-changing part is actually like the cultural institution. They are also coming, right? LVMH and Gucci, right? And stuff like that, right? I mean, what's the last time that you see them actually do a collab, right? Launching something new on tech and stuff, right? But right now, they're actually launching NFT. They're actually doing more in Web3. I think that's the part that is more exciting to me, right? Because they are the one who actually changing the culture, right? I mean, honestly, if you ask a teenager, right, do they want to get an LVMH like luggage or Supreme T-shirt, right? Or okay, we give you like buy some like BlackRock like a stock or a debenture and stuff like that, right? I mean, culture and community, right, are the two things that actually the newer generation wants. I mean, money is still good, right? But honestly, I think if you can master culture and community, I mean, money will kind of like comes naturally. Yeah, Matt, is that still your view?
Yeah, look, I think that's like really what differentiates things here is like culture. You know how we talked about, right? We were like, yo, memes move markets, right? And memes, like the power of memes in the space. Like on that panel I mentioned with Frank and Luca, they asked me about like what advice I would have for VCs or institutional entering the space about like how to like understand the nature of the space. And I was like, never underestimate the power of memes and people having fun. And like so many metas and so many things that have taken over the space have been about that. And ultimately, memes are culture. Like I'm like, that better than anyone, right? Like you've literally you've built an empire on that. And it's super fucking impressive. And I love it. And so it's like, like for me, it's like culture will move the needle in ways that just aren't possible for. And what's interesting is that I think it's taking culture to bring crypto mainstream, not finance, right? Like I could tell you even anecdotally from my own end, when I was at Billboard from 2016 to 18, during that bull market, I tried to get people in the music industry to pay attention to crypto. I was trying to talk to everyone. It was crickets. Like nobody cared. They just didn't understand it. There was no reason for them to care. It's like, this is some weird financial thing, whatever. And ultimately, and then what's interesting is after could not have been a different feeling after Blau's big music NFT sale, all of a sudden my phone is ringing off the hook. It's everyone in the music industry is and if you think my phone was ringing off the hook, his was out of control. He was talking to the biggest artists on earth. I know for a fact that week. And he, and it was everybody, all of a sudden, every music manager, every artist was I can no longer afford to ignore this space. And that's just one example when it comes to music. But you have the creative community has not happening before. And that we talk about the power of culture. We talk about the power of culture to really move needles, to move markets, to bring things mainstream. like look no further than just like the nature of marketing over the last like, you know, decades, over the last century. Like, you know, there's a reason why huge musicians, huge athletes, huge celebrities and cultural movers and shakers have had some of the biggest brand deals and have like really moved the needle for different products there. Like, you know, culture is an integral part of this, and I really do think that this is the first bull run where like culture was front and center, and it's definitely not going to be the last. And that's one of the reasons why too, like I always say, you know, Ray, it's interesting, like I always think back to where I was in 2014, because after the market crashed, I didn't sell my Bitcoin, I held on to it, but honestly I didn't double down, even though I believed in the white paper, even though I believed in it. And I asked myself, like, why was that? And part of it was, I think that like, even though I believed in it, even I thought it was great, ultimately, A, I'm not a finance guy, so I wasn't like super deep into that world. But B, I didn't necessarily know that it was coming back. I didn't necessarily have that conviction because I had never lived through, I only lived through one cycle, right? Like I had only, you know, for all I knew, it was just a random crazy thing that happened on the internet, right? And it was like a one-time thing. And it took the next cycle for me to be like, oh wait, I was onto something. And of course, digital currency and digital exchange of value and all of this like makes sense, and decentralization. I think a lot of people in the creative community are in 2023 are where I was at in 2020, like 2014, 2015, where like they went through that cycle. They believe in the future of like digital ownership and digital culture, but they're just like, I don't know, until they see it come back, they're not going to necessarily believe it. If they're doubting themselves or second guessing, et cetera. And so I think that when the next cycle happens, you're going to see the all those industries jump back in a really big way. And I think there's going to be a lot more conviction coming out of that cycle as well about the importance of digital culture, about the lasting nature of this. Because I always say, like, you know, that was all magic internet money. This is art, music, and culture. And you don't bet against art, music, and culture.
Yeah, I think it's always painful, right, for the first time, right? So somehow I think in life, right, in finance, right, in crypto, right, I think the first time to seeing the deep, right, I think it's just so painful, right? But the thing is, if you really believe in it, right, I think you just hold on to it, right? I think at the end of the day, if you are, I mean, again, don't over invest, right? But somehow if you have the excess resources, right, maybe you double down, right? I think that part is actually, I mean, when we talk to so-called the OGs in the space, right, I think we ask them what's their biggest fumble, right? The biggest fumble is usually they didn't double down, right? In Web3, right? I mean, they already see one cycle, but they didn't double down, right? I'm not saying that, oh, you have to over-invest, right? But if you really believe in tech, right, the fundamentals haven't changed, right? And actually, when you zoom out, there are more and more companies starting to do things on Web3, right, using blockchain technology. I think making something more meaningful, right? In the past, you know, it's only some young founders, right, who don't have any connections to say that, okay, they can change the world. Right now, it's more like, okay, Web2, Web1, or offline brands, right? They started to realize the power of Web3, and then they started to do something, right? I think that's actually very, very different, right? So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's super bullish, right? On Web3, on blockchain, on crypto, on NFT. It's just that I think it's just painful, right? During when the price is bad. I mean, everyone is down bad, right? I mean, that part is actually the challenge. Yeah. So anyway, super bullish, right? It's just painful. Yeah, for some time.
Yeah. Look, it's always pain, right? But like that's what they say, you know what I mean? Like that's why when like people are like, oh, you got lucky for holding like Bitcoin or ETH, it's like, oh, that wasn't luck. Like that was strength. Like, you know, like we went through the ups and the lows, the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, you know. But ultimately I tell everyone, like, zoom out. Just zoom out.
Matt,
Yeah.
Matt, are you buying NFTs right now?
Yes, actually, not tons. Like, you know, I collect a lot on Tezos. Actually, I collect a lot of art on Tezos because for me, it comes from a place of just like pure appreciation. I don't think about it through the lens of ROI or floor I don't think about it as like financial investment. So it's actually very relaxing for me. I love that. I am also supporting artists on Ethereum. Like I still collect a lot on ETH as well. Largely art these days, like really collecting a lot of art, a lot of areas that, you know, just like artists I believe in, artists that I really like. I have picked up a few things here. I'm always keeping an eye out for, undervalued historical projects that I think are going to have value in the future. I do think like AI art is going to go through a similar trajectory as like generative
Ooh,
art, like, and we're going to look back at a lot of like the early AI art projects, with a bit of like the panache and the cachet of like some of the big like generative art projects that have become, you know, quote unquote blue chips or the like. So I've been actually during the bear market picking up a number of pieces of AI art, like early AI art, you know, looking at projects like Braindrops, looking at projects like Deep Black, etc. Obviously not financial advice. These are just things that I find really interesting, and
I
I
forgot
really
to run that non-investment advice during teaser.
We should run that like after.
Yeah.
Always. But no, for me, it's like, so I'd say the answer is yes. Like I'm collecting during the bear.
Very good.
Not as much PFP related, but you know, I do keep an eye out. There's a couple of things I pick up here and there if I think it's a really cool community and things like that, or I want to support. But yeah, like, you know, I would say I'm just really focused on building when it comes to NFT now media, everything we have for Now Pass holders. So like, you know, and especially like with Gateway Korea, Gateway Miami, I've been so busy, so much travel, that I haven't really been as collecting as often as I sometimes do. But you know, I'll always be collecting NFTs. You know what I mean?
Awesome. I know you got to go soon, so just one quick question for people who maybe are not so familiar with NFT now. Do you have a favorite podcast that you did, favorite guest that you interviewed that we should listen to? I know it's hard to pick one.
That's
or
hard.
Maybe the insight that came out of it that you thought was really good.
It's a really great question. There's so many. Yesterday we wrapped season 2 of our podcast. So we've done 100 and over 100 episodes. You know, we actually let me pull it up. We've done 106 episodes. Of the NFT podcast.
We're amazed that we did 20.
yeah, it's crazy, right? You know, for the 100th episode we did Beeple, which was really special. That was a really special one. You know, there's one that actually comes to mind just because it was really formative for me. Was we did Claire Silver during season 1. I remember like before like she really blew up and before AI art really blew up, and she made me think about AI art in a whole new way. Like if you watch that episode, the one with Claire Silver, you'll actually see like me and Alejandro like our minds being blown in real time, because like she was explaining how she sees AI as a camera for the imagination, and like how she sees it like as a creative tool. And so it was just very inspiring. And so that one stands out because it was just like, it was like we were having epiphanies in real time. It's like a really special one. So like, but it's been amazing. And we're actually about to start rolling out live from the Gateway Korea, including the fireside chat with Ray. So that's going to be one of the ones we roll out on the podcast channels and the like.
He's not holding a pillow in that one.
So I'm sure that one's going to be a great one. So
thank you, Matt.
Matt, thanks a lot for your time. Amazing. I could talk to you for another hour. I know you got to go. Hopefully we'll catch you in Miami at your next Gateway event. But if not, we'd love to have you back on the show once you get home, settled in, and then you can just tell us how much you love Asia again. I really want to, I was fascinated by your Korea insight. So I want to know more as you guys build out. Maybe have Alejandro on as well to talk a little bit about how he's getting into it.
When he moves over. Yeah.
Let's do it. Thank you for having me, Ray. Great to see you as always. I'm happy to hop back on another time. And this is just the beginning for our expansion into Asia. So there's a lot to come.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Safe travels back home later. Wow, that was pretty interesting, guys. Very interesting. I know, Ray, you spend more time with him, but very fascinating. Everyone loves his energy. This guy has seen the ups and downs already so many times, and he's still so bullish. It's amazing.
I think it's exactly because they have seen so many times, right? That's why they can be bullish, right? I think if you haven't seen anything and you are just pure bullish, right? Usually that kind of like confidence get wear down, get wear out after some time, right? So I think that's why I love to talk to more experienced entrepreneur, more experienced people in the space, right? I'm not saying that, I just try to learn, right? But it's more about, okay, why, right? How come they had the conviction back then, right? I mean, a lot of people who are rich, they're just, I mean, they most of the time it's just lucky, right? But it's just luck, right? But I think if you are conscious about what you're doing, I think that's actually the process that I want to learn more, right? I think, and also, for example, like NFT Now, like Trip.com, Trekki, right? And also like Amanda, right? From Serotonin. I think all these people have something that I don't know. I have something I don't have, right? I mean, for example, like NFT Now, they're really, really connected in the art world, right?
Yeah.
That's not something that I know, right?
Yeah.
And like Trip.com, travel business is like a huge category, right? And all the new generation, right? The one thing that you ask people when they go on take a annual leave, right? You always ask them, well, where do they go, right? That means travel is here to is so big, right? Of course, they got hit a lot by COVID, right? But right now, I think people are picking it up and almost like kind of like going like revenge travel, right? You just travel so much, right? Because right now you can travel freely, right? And then of course, like for like Amanda and stuff, right? I think they know how to do marketing, right? In the Western world, right? And then talk about crypto, which is still very sensitive, right? In certain countries. I think those are things that we don't have. That's why we want to talk to them. We want to learn from them. We want to, on one hand, we want to see how we can help them if they come to Asia, if they come to Hong Kong. On the other hand, okay, how can we leverage their help, right, to also make Memeland, right, to be like more popular, right, in the Western world? And how can we, for example, when we launch MemeCoin, how can we get the help from Amanda, right, and NFT now to reach the audience that we haven't reached, right? Because at the end of the day, NFT is a very, very small space, right? Even comparing to crypto, and crypto is a very, very small space comparing to the real world, right? Not real world, but comparing the traditional world, right? So I think that's something that we want to learn. At the end of the day, if we only hang out on Discord, on Twitter, right? We only live in our own bubble, But we actually have to expand it. We have to do something that we are not super comfortable with, right? And then that's how we can grow. That's how we can learn. Yeah.
Great.
Sweet.
All right. Wow, this is a long episode. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
We'll see you next time. Okay, Karen.
I need to pick
Amazing.
up.
Okay.
What is discussed on the GM show is not investment advice. We may or may not have ownership interests in the projects we are talking about, but this is not investment advice in any way, shape or form. And this is not Sir David Attenborough.
All right.
I think as long as it plays at some time in the episode, it's okay. I think that's the main thing, right? It doesn't have to be anything. Okay, I just want to add this back in one more last time for people. I don't know. People on Twitter can't see it, so I'm going to post this on Twitter underneath this, or sorry, X underneath our thing. But if you wanted to vote on one of the memes, definitely put your vote in. I'm just going to show it one more time here while we sign off. I just want to thank everybody again for, I think this is another great episode. I'm so glad that Matt came on and Ryan from Trekki came on. I think there's a lot of excitement on what's going on over there. I saw the chat really light up on that. I wanted to ask Ryan one last question, but maybe you can help me later on. But what he was saying, I was like, are the Trip.com users that sophisticated with NFTs? They know how to stake and all this stuff. I was like, that would already tell you like Asia is like in another like frame of mind. It's like all these things, all these really hardcore things about NFTs. It's like so easy for people that are in the Trip.com or the Trekki ecosystem. I mean, I see their X feed is crazy already as well. So that's amazing to see a big brand like that just be so into NFTs.
Yeah, I just want to say again, like we're giving away 50 guaranteed Trekki NFT a raffle whitelist to the audience today. So go on X.
But you have to be on X though, right?
Yeah, go on X so that we know we have a record of you listening to the show. So yeah, like it's exciting.
It's very exciting. So I guess that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. We ran really long. We had so many interviews, so many guests. We're trying to keep it shorter, but I hope you enjoyed it. Please let us know your thoughts on this episode. We'd love to hear what you thought. This will be on YouTube. You can watch it later. You can listen to the stream. We're gonna get hopefully a podcast episode up sooner than later, so you can listen to there. But let us know your feedback. We'd love to hear from everybody who's been here. We love chatting to the people in the YouTube chat, which is great fun. But next week, just stick around on Twitter at GM Show Official. If you missed last week's awesome episode with Frank DeGods and Kevin DeGods, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitter. And we're going to do it. What's that?
Worth listening. Last episode, man.
Yeah, worth listening to last episode. But we will do it again November 2nd in Hong Kong, live in Hong Kong during the Memeland Fest, the Ape Fest, and whatever. There's millions of fests going on that first week of November. So definitely, if you haven't looked into booking tickets to Hong Kong for that week, definitely do so now. The weather's great in November.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be some amazing meme land surprises. I'm sure that Matt will be back. I'm sure a lot of people will be back over to see what's happening in Hong Kong as well when we roll up the red carpet for all the Web3 people. What's that?
And a lot of special guests you'll see in the
A
event.
lot of special guests. Yeah. When it's in our home city, we control a little bit more. We know where everything is. We know how to set it all up. So I think that will be an exciting time as well for it. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Baby.